I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joyofbaking.com. Today we're going to make chocolate peanut butter cupcakes, and this is what they look like. We have a moist and dense chocolate cupcake, and we're going to top that with swirls of a satiny smooth peanut butter frosting. So first, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius, and then you will need a 12-cup muffin pan or cupcake pan. And I'm just lining my the cups with paper liners. If you don't want to, you could just lightly butter them or even spray them with one of those nonstick sprays. So really easy chocolate cupcake batter to make. If you have an electric stand mixer like I have here, you will need your paddle attachment. You could use a hand mixer, or really you could just do this in a large bowl with a wooden spoon. So the first thing we're going to do is just put all our dry ingredients into our mixing bowl. So you'll need 1 cup, 200 grams of granulated white sugar, 1 cup, 130 grams of all-purpose flour. You may know that as plain flour. You will need a 1/2 cup, 50 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. For this, you can use either the natural or the Dutch processed cocoa powder. Today I'm using the Dutch processed. And I do like to sift that because cocoa powder does tend to have a lot of lumps. Let's just get rid of those. Okay, and then you will need a 1/2 teaspoon, 2 grams of baking soda, and 3/4 teaspoon, that's 3 grams of baking powder, and just 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. Simple enough. And now I'm just going to mix all those together, just like medium-low speed. Okay, that was simple enough. So you can just do it in a large bowl and whisk it all together. So now for our wet ingredients in a separate bowl, I have 2 large eggs, and have your eggs at room temperature. And I'm just using a wire whisk. Whisk that together. Okay, and then you will need 1 cup, which is 240 milliliters, 240 grams of buttermilk, and have it at room temperature. Now you can buy buttermilk. You could use the buttermilk powder, or you could just kind of make a really good sour milk, which is a great substitute. Just take 1 cup, 240 milliliters of milk, and stir in 1 tablespoon of either lemon juice or vinegar, and then just let it sit on your counter for 10 minutes, and you can use that instead of the buttermilk. And buttermilk is really nice in a cake batter because it really gives it makes it more moist, soft, really nice texture and flavor. So we're not using butter. For this, we're using 1/3 cup plus 1 tablespoon, which is 90 milliliters or 90 grams of a flavorless oil. Now that could be a vegetable, a corn, a canola, or safflower, whatever you have in the house. And the good thing about using oil is when you refrigerate the cupcakes, cupcakes don't get firm. They still stay a little soft, as opposed to butter where they get really firm. And then for flavoring, 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of pure vanilla extract. And that's it. So now, I'm going to add about 1/3 of this in here. Let's eyeball it. Make a mess. So now I'm going to beat this on medium-low speed until it gets nice and smooth. It'll be like a thick paste right now. Okay, so it's nice and smooth, but do not scrape down the sides of your bowl right now, because if you tend to do that, then you'll get lumps, and we want a nice smooth batter. So for now, just put in another 1/3 And again, we're just going to beat that in medium-low speed until it's a nice, thick, smooth batter. Okay, so at this point, now you can scrape it down. I find if I like scrape it down to after that first time, you get some kind of lumps, and then no matter how much I beat it, it's hard to get rid of all those. But if you kind of get enough of that liquid in there, because we want a nice smooth batter. So now I'm going to just add the rest. Okay, again, I'm just going to beat it till it's all nice and smooth. Okay, so now just going to check that. Make sure we've got everything all mixed together. There, make a mess. Okay, that looks really nice. You can see it's nice and smooth. Oh, and simple to make. That's what I like. Okay, so now what we're going to do is evenly divide this into our muffin cups. Now, this is a fairly thin batter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it into this measuring cup with something with a spout. Although you could use like an ice cream scoop, or if you had a ladle, you could use that as well. Whatever you have in the house. Okay. Good. And then I find it's about 2/3 to 3/4 full, each muffin cup. Like that. Okay, so now our last one. That's good. Got a little left over. I'll just put that, even it out a bit. Okay, so everyone's oven is a little different. So I find it takes about 18 to 20 minutes for these to get fully baked. They will rise pretty high. Toothpick inserted into the center will come out clean. Now, you don't want to overbake them, so you might even want to check them a little before the 18 minutes just to make sure, because as I said, everyone's oven is a little different. So our chocolate cakes are done. I've put the pan on a wire rack. As you see, you got good rise. Toothpick inserted in the center, comes out clean. We're going to let these cool completely, and then when we come back, we will start our peanut butter frosting. So now we're going to make our peanut butter frosting. Again, if you have a stand mixer, use your paddle attachment, or again, you could use a hand mixer or just do it by hand. You will need 1 cup, 225 grams of butter, and have your butter at room temperature. And to that, I'm going to add 1/3 cup, 80 milliliters, 80 grams of a full fat cream cheese, and have that at room temperature. So now we're going to just beat these two together until they're nice and smooth. Okay, just going to check that. Yeah, that looks good. This is a great way too, if your butter was maybe a little too cold, when you beat it like this, just softens it. So, good trick. So now, peanut butter frosting, we need peanut butter. 3/4 cup, 180 grams of peanut butter. I'm using, you want to use a smooth and creamy peanut butter, your favorite brand. And then for flavoring, 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of pure vanilla extract, and then we're going to add 3/4 cup, which is 90 grams of confectioner sugar. You may know that as powdered or icing sugar. And I am going to sift that because, as you probably know, confectioner sugar always has lumps. So we want our frosting to be nice and smooth. So, okay, that looks good. And then, kind of a surprise ingredient. Now, you don't have to add this, but I am adding 2 teaspoons, which is 10 grams of molasses. The thing about molasses and peanut butter, molasses actually seems to enhance the flavor of the peanut butter. So that's why I'm adding just a little. But you don't have to. It still will taste really good without it. Okay, so now I'm going to start this on low speed. You don't want that sugar coming up in your face. And then I'm going to continue to beat it until it gets nice. You want nice and smooth. And then I want to incorporate some air, so I'm going to beat it for a couple minutes. That looks pretty good. Now, I did forget something. I like to add just a pinch of salt, about 1/8 teaspoon. Find it just helps with the flavoring, so I'm just going to beat that in. Okay, so I can smell that peanut butter. I don't know about you, but chocolate and peanut butter, perfect combo. Okay, so there we have. Now, depending, I find different peanut butters can have different thicknesses. So if you find your frosting a little too thin, you could add a little more sugar or a little more butter to just thicken that up. So that's what you're looking for. And pretty thick. So now we are, I mean, you could just take, you know, a knife or an offset spatula and just spread the frosting on the cupcakes, just for a really simple way to do it. But we're going to do it like the bakeries do. So you will need a piping bag with, I'm using a star tip, like that. So have your piping bag, I've cut off the end. You could just use a plastic bag. I mean, you don't have to use a piping bag. So there we have it, like so. And fold down the top. And if you find it easier, you know, put your piping bag in a tall glass, like that. And then, I mean, it is a little easier than trying to hold it. And then just put, I don't like to put all of it in at once. I'm just going to use part of it. Now this frosting is great. It will, you can make it ahead of time. You can refrigerate it for probably 3-4 days. You can even freeze it for a couple months and then just defrost it in the refrigerator. So it is a good frosting. So if you have any left over here, just freeze it for next time. So what I've done is you press it down. You want to get all the air out. So kind of just force it down and then hold it if you're right-handed, like that. Twist the bag so you have nice real grip, and then use this hand as a guide. So what we're going to do here, take a cupcake. I like to start around the outside. Try use even pressure, use this hand as a guide, and then just go around like so. Just a steady, and then stop, and then go up. You get a little tip like that. And that's, I'll just do one more for you. Just all the way around. Even pressure when you're doing this. If you're new to this, don't worry, because if it doesn't work, just scrape it off and keep practicing. So there we have our, aren't those gorgeous? So if you want, you could, I mean, I think they're perfect like that, but you could put some sprinkles, or I have some shaved chocolate here, and you could just, some curls, and just kind of put like so, as many as you want. Could get carried away here, and there you have it. Now what's great is you can store these in the refrigerator for probably 3-4 days. They stay pretty good, but make sure that you bring them to room temperature before you serve them or eat them, because you want that frosting to be nice and soft. Also, you can freeze the whole cupcake, and what you can even put it in a plastic container, or you could get one of those cake boxes, put them all in there, and then just wrap the cake box really well with plastic wrap. Put it in the freezer for a couple of months. So you can make them ahead, and then just, you know, take the whole box from the freezer, put it in the fridge, let them thaw out, and you have cupcakes that you didn't have to do it right then. So let's try one. So there we have, oh, so pretty. I'm just going to cut. I'm not going to eat the whole thing, although I'd probably like to. Just going to cut. Oh, this cupcake, you can just see how moist it is, okay? If you like peanut butter cups, you're going to love these. That combination of a very moist chocolate cake, dense, moist, and then the peanut butter frosting is, to me, is perfect. So try these. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.